Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you. From DC Comics, this is Gotham City, Year 1, Issue Number 1. Is written by Tom King, art by Hester and Eric Gapstur, colors by Jordie Bellaire, and letters by Clayton Cowles. I want to say for me this story was fantastic. It's a Noir that's supposed to be setting up a new origin story for Gotham City. I know a lot of people complain when they weave in and out of things that are already created, but for me it just adds more lore to the story that's already there, and there's so many vacant gaps that are in the timeline of things. So for me, if the story works, it's always a good thing. Of course, isn't that how it is? But the story sets out with a newspaper from Gotham City's The Blade. It's a press that I'm not very familiar with. As far as I knew, it was always a Gotham Gazette. But the timeline is set up in March 12, 1961, and the paper is asking the question, where is the Princess of Gotham? We are kind of roughly caught up with the characters in the story right here, the main ones, but it is Richard Bruce Wayne and Constance Wayne and their daughter Helena Wayne. And the paper is basically asking, where is Helena Wayne? The public has not seen her for a while, whether it's been kidnapping or she's just an ugly, malformed baby, or, there's all kind of rumors or whatever that the paper touches on. But we only get a brief paper of the article, and then we are kind of caught up with the main character of the story, and this is Sam Bradley. He is a private eye detective, and he was reading that article while smoking a pipe, and he gets a knock at the door, and a supposed courier comes in, Sue, and she brings a letter stating that Mr. Bradley needs to take this letter to Richard Bruce Wayne, and he has to do it in person, and it has to be him or whatever. There is money that is attached to the letter or whatever, but basically that's the instructions that Sue gives him, and basically no other information as to who is she, why is she basically the story goes that she was hired to give the letter to him, and he's supposed to go ahead and give the letter. We found out that instantly that Mr. Sam Bradley does not trust the whole situation, and he asked his assistant, Mr. Johnny Boy, to go trail Sue, and he also mentions to take the 45 with him, just in case. We see Sam Bradley, and he's kind of sitting here debating whether or not to even look into the letter, take the money, look into the case kind of thing, and he ends up going to do it. They show some some reminiscent old time looking Gotham City, and basically he goes to the Wayne estate to drop off the letter. As soon as he does, he is greeted at the door by someone he is familiar with, some guy named Lodger, and they're both kind of in confusion on both of them being there. Sam Bradley is kind of weirded out that Lodger's working for the Waynes, and at the same time Lodger's like, what the hell are you doing here? Bradley does mention that he's there to deliver the letter, and Lodger hesitantly and kind of rudely basically forcefully takes him inside, and we start finding out that there's a lot more going on with the letter. We also do see that Sam Bradley is not somebody to be messed with, because Lodger is a big guy. I mean, he was slamming around Bradley at first, but we do find out why the dude's called Slam Bradley. I mean, he quickly overpowers the double the size guy. As this is going down, some other guys quickly pull some guns on Slam Bradley and kind of calm the situation down, and we meet Constance Wayne. She comes down the stairs, finds out that he's got the letter, and basically she sends another guy to go retrieve Richard Bruce Wayne, and they both look at the letter, and that's kind of where that ends with the letter. There's a whole bunch of confusion that goes on, and they don't understand why Sam Bradley is dropping off the letter and blah blah blah. They get to read the letter, and all of a sudden they start beating the crap out of Sam Bradley. They take him off into this other room or whatever, and I mean literally start torturing him and all this stuff, and Sam Bradley is just in mass confusion. He doesn't understand what's going on. Eventually Constance, they have this whole interrogation thing. We find out that these Waynes are a little more darker than the Waynes that we know. But we do find out that the daughter has been kidnapped. She was taken in the middle of the night, and hence the note and everything. But the note is supposed to be like a, from the kidnapper. Basically, they had already got one note the night of the kidnapping, and now they're receiving another one from Slam Bradley. And they're using, the kidnapper is basically using Slam Bradley as the kind of like in-between person, and also it looks like a scapegoat kind of thing. The letter, eventually we do get to read it, but the letter does read, have $100,000 to pay for child. Child is safe, but won't be safe if you don't pay. Don't you tell anyone. Don't tell police, so she stays safe. I want to give child back safe for the money. I write here more soon. You know it is true. By me with my mark here, and it's actually a picture of a bat. I think this was the first letter that they received the night of the kidnapping, and then eventually he does get to read, the second letter that Sam Bradley actually delivered. The second letter stating, I write so you know Slam Bradley is to help me. You give him money and he give it to me. I give him child. Child safe but wasn't home. Mrs. Mommy, make her sick. Give Slam money so child good. I tell him where I meet. If there is police, child not safe. No police, $100,000 and small money, 5, 10s, 20s, no counting money, more to come. And basically that's why we find out that they're beating the crap out of Slam Bradley, because the letter mentions him directly, and they're just assuming that this guy is, Slam Bradley is working with the kidnapper kind of thing, because, he's mentioning Slam Bradley, directly kind of thing. But all it really is at this point is he's just using him as a mail carrier. It could have been like, FedEx that was stated on the letter, please keep FedEx, the $100,000. But, that's what they're jumping to the conclusions, basically. Eventually, like, after talking and this and that, they kind of do come to terms with they're going to have to use Slam Bradley anyways to deliver, the money or whatever to get the child back. And they do let Slam Bradley go after, beating the crap out of him and everything. But basically at this point he kind of knows everything that the Waynes know and stuff like that. He does go back, and we get a heartbreaking scene that we do find out that his friend Johnny Boy, who was trailing Sue, they found him dead at like a construction site or something like that. That he was shot to death and then basically like half buried. And that's kind of it. That's where it leaves it off. There is some other stuff I'm not trying to spoil, but that's basically where the book leaves off. But it's basically setting up, for me, some weird things I can say. That the guy's name is Richard Bruce Wayne. I did not know that Bruce Wayne had any relatives with the same surname as him, like, Bruce Wayne. Constance would be a first, so I don't know if these are new created characters for this timeline. And for me it's kind of weird because it's in the 60s, so this would be Thomas and Martha's parents on one way or another. I'm assuming Thomas's parents, but the book doesn't relay any of that. So if let me down below, especially if you have any more information on directly where this ties in, how it ties in, kind of thing. For all I know, this is an Elseworld story, and this doesn't tie into Bruce Wayne at all. Being the 60s, I would have to imagine Bruce would be being born around this time, unless this is setting up that he originally, I don't know, see, some of that didn't make any sense. Even though Batman's from the 30s, right? But that's my review. Let me know down below. There's a lot to take in from this. This book did come out quite a bit ago. It does have a second issue that just came out this week, and I haven't even got into that yet. But that's coming too. But I don't know. That's all I got. Likes, comments, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys later. Bye!